Greetings, Kindred, and a happy new moon to you all. So, wow, we've been through a really intense time, haven't we, over the last few months, and especially with the eclipses and, the main players like Pluto, Saturn, the Black Moon Lilith, they've been really heavily aspecting the charts. And yeah, that energy is just so heavy and just feels so dark. But it's again, like I said before, we go through this awakening process in bouts. So, it's all financial. Over the last few months, people are really coming to terms with their financial struggles, with emotional struggles, mostly from past traumas like abandonment issues or childhood wounds. So we find that when we go through these intense times, it does really bring up a lot of negative feeling and maybe a lot of reflection, since we've had Mercury in retrograde as well, and also Pluto in retrograde. Now, his energy is very, very dominating in the charts over the last few months, as well as Saturn as well. But Pluto just entering into Capricorn, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So, it just kind of doubles down or doubles up on that intense energy. But I'm glad to say on this new moon that the Black Moon Lilith has actually stepped out the picture. And I really do think that's to give us a little bit of a break, because as much as the world and the establishments around us are still very intense and forceful and dominating, I feel on an individual level, we've all got this opportunity with this new moon to recharge our batteries. And, this is a 7 numerological year. So it's a year for us to develop our spiritual values, to get more into or embrace the unknown, like embrace our intuition, embrace, any signs or synchronicities that we may come across. But, going back to this new moon, and it's a black new moon. So this new moon will actually begin on the 19th of May, 2023 at 16:53 in the GMT time zone, at 11:53 in the EDT time zone, and the new moon will begin on the 20th of May at 1:53 in the AEDT time zone. So going back to the chart now, we have the moon and sun at 4 degrees in Taurus. Now, this is a pretty good placement for the moon in a way, because it's all about our childhood comforts. It's all about the inner child. It's about, of course, it's also about, our material security, which is very important to the Taurian energy. I mean, like I said before as well, Taurus doesn't actually represent a person in mythology. In my own research, it actually represents an age, and that's the golden age. Now, there was 2 golden ages. One wasn't on this planet. There was a golden age on the planet Maldek, which no longer exists in our solar system anymore. But also here on the Earth in the times of Atlantis. Now, that was when, we had the golden age here, and that was after the flood. But before, the solar system kind of went a bit manic. And, when we lost the planet Maldek during the Atlantean times. I mean, a lot of the time it was very beautiful. All the technology that had been passed down from the Maldecans, was coming into force. And but, with all good things, there tends to be an element of corruption as well that seems to get involved in anything good, like today with our technology. I just feel, there's always a negative and a positive. So anyway, as our new moon begins, our new moon will actually be in a kite aspect. So the kite will be with our moon song, Pluto, the goddess Ceres, who's just entered into Virgo. And at the top of the kite, we have the goddess Pallas, and Mars is pretty close as well. So I would say that Mars can be included in this. I mean, yeah. So Mars and the goddess Pallas, I just feel like it's time now to cleansing programs, do you know what I mean? With our minds, body, and soul. So I just think we're going to get a little bit of space this new moon, even though the world's still going crazy around us. The goddess Ceres is all about nurture. It's all about food, our food resources, nurture. But in Virgo, it's also about our relationships and about, our nervous energy. So, with Ceres in opposition to Neptune, who's at 5 degrees in Pisces, I just feel that some of us are really not coming to terms with or really coming into the reality of just how dire things may be in our lives or in our communities. Do you know what I mean? So I do feel there's a shift there going on, and maybe a little bit of escapism as well. Maybe we're focusing on sort of like things to take our mind away from what's going on in the world, which is great. I mean, Neptune is a very creative energy, and it's a very good energy for meditation. But I think because Neptune is in opposition to the goddess Ceres, it may be hard for us to focus on, guided meditation. So maybe just let the mind wander. And, the weather's getting good here in the West. So maybe out in the open air would be really ideal for that. But going back to this kite now, like I said, we are actually recharging. And I feel that this is very much needed because we've got the next few months to get through. And like I said before in my podcast, we do get these little spaces of time where, I call them breathing spaces. And I feel that's what we're in with this new moon. The number 4 is the number of like the foundations, but it's the reality, but in its formative energy. So it's more physical than creative. And it represents, like I said, the physical, the logical, and also the Wheel of Fortune. It's all about Ixion and Ixion's law, which I connect Ixion with Moses, as I do connect Aries with Moses as well. So Ixion to me is Moses after death. And the Wheel of Fortune, like Ixion's wheel, I mean, you can Google it and look at the different mythologies around that. But to me, Ixion's law really does cover the 10 commandments. In its negative, it can create, like rebellion, explosions, oppositions, chain reactions. So, we just need to watch out for that. I really do feel that's more on a global level, more, not on so much an individual level, although I do feel things can kick off for us on an individual level as well. I think that most of us will get that breathing space. And I have actually done a chart showing Nixon because I haven't spoken about him for a while because he's at 7 degrees now in the galactic center. But I'll show you that chart in a minute. Now, it's very important, I really think, is to focus more on our diet because Taurus is really about the physical material as well. And Ceres, the goddess Ceres in Virgo. Virgo's an earth sign, so it's more about the physical material. And I just feel that, we need to look at our diet, our food resources and exercise. And I know people are struggling right now financially, so maybe, those things are a little bit of a worry to us right now, but there's so many recipes and videos out there how you can make really good meals, from scratch out of more or less nothing. Do you know what I mean? That are healthy. So I really do think that that should be our focus this new moon. So also we have this Grand Cross. Now this Grand Cross has been ongoing for a little while, although some of the players do change from time to time. And again, it's connected to this sky. So I think we need to step out of this energy of trying to find ways where we don't keep ending up in the same place. Do you know what I mean? Or similar circumstances. Obviously with the kite, we have to go where the wind blows. Do you know what I mean? So just going with the flow, this new moon would be ideal. Although, we're just going around in circles really with this Grand Cross aspect, and it is more a collective energy. And that's why I was saying earlier, on an individual level, I think we can step out of this matrix energy and really concentrate and focus on ourselves, because we are going to need to build our strength for the months ahead. And I'm not saying that in a way to be negative, but it's going to be very action oriented. And I feel we need to be in a good place to be able to, pick up the sword whenever we need to, or, it may take a little bit of work to get to where we need to be, but also with diet and exercise, it also gives us confidence, it gives us stamina and strength, so maybe look at your vitamin levels as well, or, just really, spiritual healing. And if you need to reach out to others for guidance, then do that. Don't close yourself off, because with this Grand Cross, there's a lot of irritability around it. And with Mars in square to Mercury, there can be a lack of tact. Now, even though Mercury's come out of retrograde, he is still in post shadow until the 31st of May. And again, I will link that article I wrote below for those of you that haven't already read that. And I will also link the Pluto video I did as well, Pluto entering into Capricorn, because Pluto's about to retrograde back into Sagittarius, I think next month or the month after, either June or July, I can't quite remember now. But he will retrograde back into Sagittarius, and I've covered that in that video. So I will link those two below again. So yeah, this Grand Cross, I mean, we've got Mars in square to Mercury, Mars in square to Jupiter in the North Node, and then we've got Mercury who's in post shadow in square to Pluto, Jupiter in square to Pluto. So there's still so much corruptive energy out there, when it comes to our systems, and but more and more people are seeing the reality. But the last thing we want to do is be impulsive with our reactions. Do you know what I mean? Because this does stir up a lot of negative feeling, these energies in this Grand Cross situation. So, yeah, I do feel, we must avoid power struggles, but do fight for a cause. Do you know what I mean? Stand by your cause, but don't get caught up in power struggles. There's no need to, because, we know what it is. You know, if we know what it is, if we know our own truth, then we just need to stick with that for the moment. Do you know what I mean? And like I said, let's make all this new moon about regeneration. So we're in a 7 year. The black moon Lilith is at 7 degrees, and Mercury in post shadow is at 7 degrees. So to me, that's a 777 energy overall, because the black moon Lilith has been so active this year. And Mercury has been very, very active, this Mercury retrograde. I just want to talk about the number 7 a little bit. So the number 7 actually represents the moon in its positive aspect. So, you know, we was talking about the number 4 and how it's the number of Ixion, but it's also the sun in its formative energy. And then we have the moon, who is ruled by the number 7 at 4 degrees conjunct the sun. So this is all about cycles of time, you know, and it's also associated with the 7 rays, the rainbow bridge, the mystic and rituals. Now, I wouldn't say this new moon is a good time to do rituals, because with the number 7, the best time to do rituals, especially in a 7 numerological year, is at the full moon. And I definitely would avoid doing rituals on eclipse days. You know, I think when it comes to the eclipses, we're meant to sit silent and just like absorb the information coming in, you know, maybe keep a journal of that information coming in, but definitely not a time to do rituals or manifestations. But I do feel this new moon is a good opportunity for us to cleanse ourselves, to build up our inner strength, our physical strength, our mental strength, our emotional strength, and our spiritual strength for this upcoming full moon that's going to occur in Ophiuchus, which is the sign of magic itself. So I would just say, hold out this new moon if you can. Obviously, do your prayers, do your, you know, your rituals, as in your chanting or your sound baths. Like I said, this is all about focusing on the self and your immediate environment. And yeah, I just feel this full moon, I haven't looked at the chart fully for that yet, but I just feel that this full moon is going to give us an opportunity maybe to do some ritual work that will be very productive. So I'm just going to show you the chart with Ixion. So yeah, Ixion, 7 degrees, that was a 7. So we've got the black moon at 7 degrees. I can't have the other asteroids and the black moon Lilith on this chart wheel at the same time, unfortunately, but we are working towards it. So I can only do them one at a time. That's why I've done a separate chart here. So, you know, we know the black moon Lilith is like 7 degrees in Leo. And, you know, Mercury's at 7 degrees in Aries in post shadow. So not quite out of retrograde yet fully. And then we have Ixion at 7 degrees in a 7 numerological year. Now, you know, Ixion is still at the galactic center here. But yeah, this 7, I just feel that this is a really good time to focus on ourselves. And I really do feel it's an opportunity for us to, you know, really enhance our self-power and our health. So yeah, that would be my recommendation, to definitely concentrate on our health in all aspects for this new moon. So I'm going to leave it there, kindred. And yeah, just as always, sending you peace and much love. Take care.